Liz Williams, thank you so much for coming on My Magical Thing with your magical thing. Liz, you and I met back in the day with Druids down in Sussex, but I also know of you as and it's a massive list, award-winning novelist, doctorate in the philosophy of science.
That's correct, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then also proprietor of the iconic magic shop, The Cat and the Cauldron.
Yes.
And books that have flowed from that story. Occultist, historian, like a polymath.
Lot of stuff, really. Yes. Dedicated amateur, probably. Well, I suppose I'm a professional science fiction writer, aren't I? Damn. I like the idea of being a sort of Georgian polymath. That I'm not sure if women could be then, but I think they probably could be. Swanning around the house in a velvet jacket with lots of wine, talking about everything, even if I know about it or not.
It's exactly how I imagine you in my head, you know, all the time, Bear.
Very flattering. Yes.
Liz, can you show us your amazing magical thing?
Well, this is my magical thing. It is a chalice. As you can see, it has a crack in it, so it's not actually great for holding wine or anything. You can put a little bit in the bottom.
But this... up a bit closer. Let me just have a quick look. I just want to look at a bit more in the middle. Put it in the middle. It's really difficult with this thing, trying to get it up, 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 up. There it is. Oh, yes, it has got a crack.
It has got a crack.
Okay, sorry, yes. I interrupted. Tell me about the thing.
Well, a lot of, like most occultists, a lot of my magical stuff I purchased from magical shops, or I found them secondhand, or they were on a market stall, or in Brighton car boot sale or something. But this actually was given to my mother by my grandfather. And we had two of the things. One was a cross, like not a crucifix, but an ordinary wooden cross on a stand. I'm not entirely sure what wood this is. Trevor knows, but Trevor's not here because he's had to go to Bristol, and I keep forgetting. But it was made out of the beams of Coventry Cathedral after the bombing.
Wow.
In the war, and they made a number of things, little cups. This wasn't called a chalice, it was just a cup. Or a goblet, and they made the crosses and possibly some other things as well. And they sold them to people, partly to refund the rebuilding. I think that was the story. My grandfather, whom I never met, was working in the Midlands at the time and picked this up and basically gave it to my mother, who gave it to me years ago. So when I started getting interested in occultism, although it is technically a Christian artifact, but you know, we're occultists, we don't care. I've been using it ever since, and I don't use it necessarily as a chalice in big ceremonies because it's too small and it's not fragile actually. It's quite a sturdy little cup, but it's got this crack, so it's not very practical. But it's my favourite magical object because it's a family thing. And the little cross I no longer have because when I went to the University of Manchester to do my degree, I started going out with a guy. Young bloke in his early 20s, and he started having serious problems with a ghost in his lodgings. It was like a very clammy small child who used to come and stand by the end of the bed, and he kept getting the urge to strangle it and put out his hands and actually touched it. It was a tactile ghost, and it was damp and clammy and chilly and cold and really quite unpleasant. So I gave him the cross to get rid of it at the age of about 18, I think, and it did get rid of it actually. It left after that. And unfortunately, then we split up, and he inadvertently, I think, went off with the cross, which probably he hasn't still got, which is annoying. But there we go. But I was left with the chalice. So yeah, that's my magical thing.
Liz, that's fantastic. That's a delightful thing. And it's lovely to have that kind of the history of that object, and also that mysterious, now lost object with its power of laying to rest the unruly spirits, let's call them.
Well, maybe it goes where it's needed. You know, and maybe it's just working its way around the country, kind of banishing poltergeists and entities and God knows demons and God knows what else of its own volition.
Liz Williams, thank you so much for sharing your magical thing.
A pleasure. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thanks, Liz. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.